Okay, we're going to let people hop on, but my name is Stephanie. For those of you who do not know me, welcome. Usually we do a team Zoom on Sunday nights. We're doing it Wednesday because it was Father's Day, and we have a special guest who I'm super excited to introduce you to. Hold on, I'm going to make sure everybody's muted, but this is going to be fun, I promise. And so get your notepad. Well, I'll just tell you this. So this person, who I'll introduce in just a minute, I've always thought he was well-spoken. The first time I heard him speak, I was at our events. He's a part of Prove It. I'll introduce him in a minute. Like, I was like, man, he's funny. He's super great with words. He legitimately has been in this, not just Prove It space. Hey girls, I need you to go downstairs, out of my mirror, they distract me. He has been in this community-based marketing, this field for 20 plus years, and he can tell you that. But I was reading this morning, actually I was listening to, I think somebody in one of Mandy's groups shared an Ed Milet talk today, and it was about vision. And something that I wrote down, and it's not really exactly what he's going to talk about, but it made me think. The thing that I listened to this morning, hold on, one second, was Ed Milet was interviewing and just talking about business, and he said, when somebody gets into business, they have these big, broad visions. Who's ever made a vision board before? Like, sometimes it's hard to go, oh, I don't know. Like, I want a bigger house. I want to help people be better. Like, I'm here to feel better, right? But he said, people need to get specific. Like, what do you have a clear vision? Like, he said, without clarity and actually specific things written down, or the grit to know that you're here to do something, it causes confusion, which I've seen happen. And then all of a sudden it allows people to give themselves an excuse to get off the hook or to go do something else or to find greener pastures. Like, he was like, there has to be clarity, not in clarity in helping somebody be better, but in clarity of like, how many people, what do you want to do? What are your goals? What will you not stand for? What are you here for? Right? So I was really fired up. So I'll have to share that Ed Milet thing. I listened to that and I was like, ooh, that's good. But we are going to listen to Curtis Broom. He is the president of Hong Kong, Asia. He is, the president of, I think I'm announcing him right, the president of the Asia market. He's been in this community-based marketing space for years and years and years. Him and I were just chatting on the phone. And there's a lot of things that I kind of want to ask him, but kind of just some of the things, Curtis, I know that you're on. We are going to chit-chat back and forth about just kind of the industry, like what you've learned, what you've seen. I'm really excited, like your biggest learning lessons. And then if we get to it, at the very end, I want him to talk about the power of the ask, because he coached a couple of this. He coached a couple of us on this topic at the last event, and it was really great. So Curtis, if you want to unmute yourself, we would love to hear from you.
I think I'm unmuted. If you can hear me, then I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Listen, I got to tell you, I was just kind of sitting back and watching the interaction and just scrolling through the 4 pages and looking at everybody. I can already tell I'm getting started. I'm going to love this group. You guys are so much fun.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of the craziness of the Steven Steffel. So that's just awesome. So yeah, where would you like to dig in? I'd love to just, spend this time and give as much value as possible. By the way, I love you so much for saying 20 plus years. It's actually been 3 headed to 31. I started when I was 5. No, I'm just kidding. But actually,
how many years?
I turned 60 a month ago. So half my life I've been in this profession. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people quite understand that you, so if you've never met Curtis or have seen him, first of all, Curtis, you're phenomenal at speaking. Like, you just capture people. But you opened up the Asia market. So you're did I say that right? The president of Asia?
Well, yeah, president of Prove It Asia, sales and marketing. That's what we focus on, is building that. What the real key is, we're not there to try and create new stuff. We're there to bring Prove It as it is and with its culture intact. Now, we're still a little ways from there because there was a little bit of a gap, and the 4-year head start, we're trying to catch up, but we're getting there. And with every event that we've got core leadership to come see the magic of, particularly the experienced leadership, you and Steve, and just the folks who have been here from the beginning. It's really fun to watch that translate. even through translation, where probably it's maybe about 60%, that 60% comes through. So particularly this last event, we had folks there who are now at their third event with headsets listening, and their conversations afterwards in private debrief was, wow. And so you finally see it start to click. So it's a lot of fun. So
I love it. Well, I would love for you to give us some of your insight, like your biggest learning lessons. What have you seen in the industry? Like, what are some of the, like you and I were just talking about, like a person that you saw with the heart and the grit to rebuild a team, I don't know, 7 times. Like, just share kind of what we were chatting about. Like, why are we here? What should somebody's vision be like? Like, there's so many people, I think, in this industry, Curtis, and maybe I'm wrong. Like, we're here, and then all of a sudden they go, what are they doing over there? And I mean, like, what are they doing over there? And I feel like people don't have this focus.
Well, occasionally in our profession, I think we have sometimes children in adult bodies. So it's that little shiny object syndrome that newborn babies have. No, but let me do this. Let me start real quick. Let me give a real quick brief, how I got started, my first experiences, things I've seen along the way. And then we'll talk about some experiences that we've learned over 30 years and some of the people that we've learned from. I was introduced to this, wonderful, crazy, wacky profession about 30 years ago. And the way it worked is I'd already started some businesses on my own. So I had traditional business experience. I had a friend, and it was literally the typical running joke, someone who was so persistent, they were so committed to the process. To me at the time, they were so annoyingly irritating, would not relentlessly not leave me alone. And I finally said, listen, if I finally go to this crazy meeting thing you're talking about, will you just shut up and leave me alone? And that was our deal. He said, yes. I went to a presentation. It was actually incredibly professionally done. It was in Orange County, California. And I was actually really caught off guard. I mean, it was really, really well done. When it was done, he said, what interested you most? I said, the professionalism alone really caught me off guard. So I learned a lot by not realizing how much I was prejudging. He said, well, then great. How do you see yourself participating? I said, well, no, I see you and I going out and getting a beer and calling it a deal. And he said, no, really, seriously. How do you see yourself becoming a part of this with me? I said, no, seriously, we had a deal. I come, you leave me alone. At which point his closing line, I would not recommend writing this down. This is not necessarily a good one unless you're really, really close. He goes, you're just a freaking hypocrite. I said, excuse me? He said, you're involved in sales and marketing businesses traditionally. This is just an alternative methodology of marketing that has great potential. I would think just as a learning experience, you'd want to be around it just to see what you might learn and apply in your own businesses. I sat there, my head was spinning. I couldn't come up with an excuse. And I said, anything but yes is going to make me look like an idiot. Okay, I'm in. Let's go. And that's how I got started. The challenge was I was set in my perceptive ways. I was not really ready to be a part of the tribe. I refused to believe what people attempted to teach me, and that was that success on a significant scale could be so simple. I confused. In fact, Brian's talked about this. I myself chose to confuse simple with easy, because I knew how hard it had been to try and be successful traditionally. And I said, there's no way this is going to work. So I was totally uncoachable, didn't listen to anybody, and failed massively for 2 years. And as I was getting ready to leave, long story, really short, went to a training event, a generic training event, saw someone who was really massively blunt and direct, almost to the point that most people might think it was rude. I found it refreshing. Basically, he agreed to go to lunch if I paid and we could talk about it. I said, I don't think it's for me. And during that lunch, in 2 hours, he taught me everything I would ever need to know to be incredibly successful, build giant teams. And it was during that process that what I realized was I had not chosen to be open. I had misheard what others were saying clearly, and there's nothing that he ever said to me that hadn't been said. I just wasn't ready to receive. Had I not gone to that lunch, I wouldn't be in the profession. And since then, I've been able to see, have success around the world and do things in the field. About 15, 16 years ago, came from the field in a company in to help the corporate growth because it was growing substantially. And it's been just an incredible experience since. Spent a ton of time all over the world. I've probably been translated in 20 or 22 different languages in over 40 countries around the world over the time. And through a sequence of relationships, the magic was that a little over a year and a half, 2 years ago, actually 4 years ago, I was actually 5 years ago was exposed to some of the exogenous ketones in early development long before there was a prove it. And then when Brian and Terry came together, I got to try a lot of the product from the beginning and watch that happen. And then a couple of years ago, there was just the opportunity to combine some resources, 18 months ago, and bring online Prove It Asia and be really a part of this family. So I wanted to share a little bit of that background in that though I'm on the corporate side, I have built, and so I understand what everybody faces, when they're brand new. And regardless of what background they've come from, we all have a natural hesitancy. We all have fears or uncertainties. The reality is when people begin and they're brand new, they have hope and uncertainty. And by hope, that's not a good thing. They hope you were truthful with them. They hope they can really do it. They hope this isn't one of those pyramid things. They hope it's all real. And the uncertainty is, regardless if I was the most successful financier or banker or lawyer, can I really do what you said I can do? And our role, hopefully, is very quickly to convert hope and uncertainty into trust and belief. And so I understand some of the challenges all of you face. And so when Stephanie and I were talking, she said a couple of things. One, if you could, talk about, we can get to the ask last, but what are some of the perspectives that you've learned? And some of it is that once I learned some of those things, I've never really taught anything but what I was taught. So today, sometimes people have conversation when they go, "Oh, wow, that was so amazing. You're so smart." And I go, no. Let me be clear. I've always tried to give credit. I'm the idiot. So I was so stupid that after 2 years, I was a miserable failure ready to quit. What I finally was blessed to be in is a position of finally being beaten down by what I was not yet accepting as my complete moronic ineptitude and being closed. And just before I walked off, I finally took a chance with someone who said, "Listen, if you'll shut up and do what I say, I'll help you. Otherwise, let's not waste time. Why don't you go?" I opened myself up. I listened, actually did it, and then went, And so all I've ever explained to people since then is that all I've ever done is what I was taught. And that's all I ever teach. So I make sure I give credit to Daniel. Because this is not, it's the old, you're in business for yourself and not by yourself. There's actually more than that. And that is, everybody sees sometimes the glory, but they don't take time to learn the story. And one of the things that I'd mentioned with Stephanie is, and so people compare themselves against that glory they see. What they don't see is the massive frustration, the difficulty, the challenges, the pain, the near defeats that had to be overcome. And one of the things I mentioned to Stephanie is someone who's a good friend of mine who today is overseeing and has built and developed one of the largest generic training organizations for our profession in the world. And in his team building career, I think earned something like $16 or $18 million over that 24-year career. However, his story began that when he got started, he literally was starting to build a team and it collapsed. Started building another team and it collapsed. And it was either the first 2 or 3 years, he literally had to rebuild 7 times before the first time he actually created a team that finally stuck. And so, what's a wonderful thing about Prove It is there are so many examples of what happens and evolves over time with knowledge and experience is sometimes you can create environments that have learned from the past. And so what's magic in Prove It, I've seen so many individuals, this is really their first time they've ever participated in the profession, and they've started to build these magical teams and have never had to go through that. I mean, imagine how many people hardly try at all and quit and walk off. But imagine having, in 3 years, teams collapse 6 times and you still get up for the 7th time. And the lesson in conversations with Eric, some of the things he said is during that first attempt, when it all fell apart, he faced that choice. And the decision that he made is, I don't know that I have clarity of where I'm going, but I've decided I'm going to get there. And either I'm going to die or I'm going to get there. And I don't care what anyone else chooses to do. Nothing will deter me from that. Through his other attempts, he realized I don't yet have the skills. I don't yet have the growth. I've not yet become the person I need to be to expect that significance of result, but I'm going to do it. And so that decision, because that's the only thing you can control. Look, we're all adults here. We're all grown men and women, different ages and experiences, but bottom line, we're all adults. And as adults, we all individually have the right to change our mind. We have the right to change our picture. We have the right to decide to do this today and not do this tomorrow. We're we have the right to choose whatever it is, but we are also responsible for the results and the consequences of our choices. Sometimes people make choices and don't want to accept the consequences, but that's really the way it is. The key is it always starts with you. What is, in fact, someone I've learned a great deal from over the years, Lisa, she said, the key is, how do you finish this sentence? I will not quit until ... That's it. Your ... is what is that defining thing. And so in his case, he said, I will not quit until I take my last breath. So, and hers, I will not quit until every human on the planet that I can possibly reach out and touch, whose life might be changed if they just saw the vision of what it is we offer in our profession, that's it. And so that's the first place to start. The vision boards, I think, can become, because one of the things that I've heard taught is, and she said the same thing, you don't get what you want, you get what you picture. That's why it's the difference between goals and visions. A true vision is a clarity that you can see, taste, touch, feel, and smell in your closet when you close your eyes. You can go into a quiet room, close your eyes, but I can see, taste, touch, feel, and smell it. That's the vision. The goals are then the steps that will move you. But if you've got that kind of clarity, because then regardless of what you face, you have the opportunity, if you choose, to say, okay, here's the circumstance. Quite frankly, what the heck does this have to do with the vision of what I'm creating? And if the vision is clear enough, the reality is nothing. Babe Ruth once said, you just can't beat the person who never gives up. And so if you get that kind of embedded, the magic of what I see with Prove It is, look, we don't even have to look within ourselves. So many of us were attracted to this because of the impact the product made on us personally. But as a part of this community, and particularly if you're sitting here today in this team, and I had a chance to meet, Steve and Stephanie, almost 2 years ago now. And when I met them, the people that I felt them to be was such that, I was drawn to it. It was that natural magnetic attraction. But all of us in a community like this, one of the things all of you are blessed with, you've heard of stories of transformation. You may have experienced it personally, but you also heard it of others. And the truth is, we have the real deal. That's why there are so many individuals at such a great thought leader level who are proud to stand on our stages and willing to do so because they see us doing the real thing. And so the question is, how committed are you to whatever it takes for as long as it takes, based upon the size of your vision? At which point along the way, just always keep in mind, and this is what Steph and I were talking about, others may change theirs, and that's okay. Sometimes when people see things and get distracted, it's because they don't have a clarity of what it is. They don't have a true vision of what it is they're creating. See, here's the issue. All of us, me included, Stephanie, Mandy, I see Mandy and Jack, all of us, every one of you, we will all focus on that which is most important to us at that moment. What that means is that if you have a true, it is embedded in you, crystal clear vision of where you're going, as you get smacked in the head and as you get tripped and as you get run over by the bus and as you're going to the ground and it's going to hurt because you're going to hit hard, your focus will never be off that which you are committed to go to. And therefore you will stand up, you will brush yourself off, put the Band-Aid on the bleeding scraped knee, and you'll keep moving because that's what's most important to you. If you don't have a clarity, here's what happens. Along the way, wherever you are, if you move forward in a little way or a large way, and it's, by the way, little and large are irrelevant. I don't care if someone's goal is to make an extra $500 a month. Let me tell you something. If they hit that and my goal is something, a bigger number, and I'm not there, well, they're better than me. They've hit their target. I haven't hit mine. So it's not about putting your desire upon others. It's identifying clearly what you want, because everybody's allowed to change their mind. Once somebody gets to 500, they might say, maybe I could touch enough more people. Maybe I could make 800 or 1,000. And then, because that seems so big to me at first. And then when I get there, well, maybe a little bit bigger. Well, in other words, it could be an adjustment of vision based upon accomplishment. So I don't care what your vision is now. Is it clear? Because here's what happens. The larger it is, or every time you set a next milestone, you just don't go from here to there. You're going to get your rump beat a couple times. You're going to get kicked in the fanny a few times. That's just process. That's just life. It's that part of the thing. If you don't have a clear vision, when a problem or an issue pops up, that becomes what you focus on. because that becomes the most important issue at that time. If you have a crystal clear vision where you're going, when a problem pops up, and this is truly human behavior, it will organically happen. You'll glance at it and go, yep, that's a problem. Is that mine to solve? Yep, okay, let's knock it out because that's where I'm going. And it'll just be a mild adjustment. It will not be a distraction. Nope, not mine. That's Stephanie's to handle. Stephanie, did you see it? You got it? Okay, good, because I've got to get back to where I'm going because that's where I'm going. And so that becomes the real key. But here's the thing. I've also had times when I was team building, and so has everybody, where someone said, I think that might be my place. And you know something? It may be. What I've seen is when people alter, it may be if they have a clarity of vision, if they see what they believe might get them there, I have always wished them the best, blessed them, and pray that that truly is their path. Sometimes people see it as they think the grass is greener. Oftentimes when that happens, they forgot to ask what the water bill was, because sometimes there are reasons things look like that. But that's okay, because if that truly is the best path for them, that's what I want for them, because it's not about me, it's about them. But my vision won't change because I'm looking for my tribe. And so it may be that this was a part of my tribe for a while, because here's what really will happen for those who, and I guarantee you, Mandy and Jack have experienced it. I guarantee you, Steve and Stephanie experienced it. And I guarantee all of you who move towards that level of accomplishment will experience it. And that is this. If this is where you are and that's where you want to go, you don't ever go like that. It never happens like that. It is, and here's why that happens. If anybody saw the movie The 300, then you'll know what I mean. You know, the set of gladiators who were scarred, battled, bruised, and toughened through battles. And even though at the end they were finally overwhelmed, the fact that they stayed together because we are committed to each other to the end, no matter what, I don't care what you bring at me, that's what it is. Here's what happens. When you start and it's starting to go up, that's because the group of people at that moment, that's what they're capable of doing until you hit an issue. And I hate it when difficulty come along, but I'll tell you what, it is a huge part of what creates excellence long term. It does it in companies, it does it with individuals, it does it with teams. And that is that though we wish everything was perfect all the time, we're not in a utopia. And when a challenge is faced, immediately everybody's divided into three groups. First is everybody, by the way, just before the challenge, everybody was committed. Everybody's committed. By the way, committed is not a word you say, it's an action you do. And unfortunately, there's only one time you can do the action, and that's when things aren't good. Because when things are good, that's not committed. That's just who wouldn't hop on that bus. And so what happens is the first group of people immediately turn and run. Oh my gosh, a problem. I'm out of here. And that's okay, because what it does is it clearly identifies who they were. And so you don't have to waste time there. The second group of people irritate me more. They don't even have the courage to quit and run. They step back, do nothing, and want to see what somebody else will do. And those people truly irritate me, but that's okay. At least it's self-identified. And the third group are the firefighters of 9/11. They are the people that when the building is crumbling, they step up and they say, quick, the fire's burning, let's go. Because we are committed, it's what we said, but it's who we are, and let's go. And what happens is when that group charges in, that's when it'll dip, but that's when they bring it to a halt, because as you continue to find your tribe, it goes. The reason the second time you'll be at a higher level when you hit that point is because you have a stronger core group of those who they know what their ... is. And their ... are in synergy. And so what you do is you collect more and more. And just before that second difficulty, everybody's committed. And then that one hits. And you go through that process. And what happens is the reason that Steve and Steph and Mandy and all those that you see who have achieved great things, all of them, they see the glory. We all see the glory and they get all these awards up there. But if you really spent time, they could tell you time after time after time the story of the strength they gained, because you gain more strength through the difficulty. You don't ever gain strength through the simplicity and ease. That's why bodybuilders have to lift very big, painful weights to get bigger. Well, what we do is our strength grows that way. So it always starts with you, because you're the only one. You are in control of you. You're in control of nobody else. And so that's what I've always said is if you, and no matter what you want to do, if your accomplishment vision grows a little bigger, just know that not everybody's going to have that same thing. And if you internalize it, and you're willing to say, whatever you choose, I'm okay because it's your life for you to choose. But this is the decision I've made, because then you will find that tribe who, because you are certain, the world is so uncertain, they're simply looking to find guidance from those who are. Your certainty is not magic, black magic that will protect everybody. But true certainty is something that is attracting without having to be boastful. It's attracting without having to be dictatorial. It's attracting and it's magnetic, and it's compelling without having to be arrogant. It's just rock solid. As I've always said, what I've learned over the years is the people at the very top who have achieved it and stayed there consistently, they don't believe. They have become belief. It is in their DNA. And anyone could walk up to them and say, oh, that profession is silly, that's goofy, that's nothing, that ketone stuff, that's just weird. And they just have this casual, calm thing about them that's just okay. and there's not even, if you had a blood pressure cuff on them, it wouldn't even move a digit. They're just like, okay. And so I share that with you for all of you, because some of you may be brand new, and that's listen, I wish I'd actually heard this and in a setting with a group like this and a team like this that could support me. I decided to be an outlier, which was, my choice. But those are the defining moments. The defining moments when I finally was at lunch with someone who said, if you want to know the truth, then shut up and listen. If you're not going to listen, we danced this dance for 2 years. If you're not going to listen, that's okay. Go find what will attract you. But let's stop wasting time. And for whatever reason, at that moment, I was willing to listen. And so I did. In fact, it was kind of funny. He and I developed a great relationship. I was actually not in his company. I was not on his team. I just walked up to him at a training and I said, would you coach me? And about 8 years later, he coached me for 16 years before he passed away. And he was much older than I was when we met. And I asked him later, I said, why did you do that? I mean, we never actually worked together. He said, because I actually thought you wouldn't listen to me, and I was going to do everything I could to crush you and get you out of the profession so you stop hurting people. And then all of a sudden you shut up and did everything I said. Now I'm stuck with you. And we become great friends. It was like 8 years later, I was hanging out with the grandkids. I was like, ouch, that hurt. He said, dude, you asked. I asked you if you wanted the truth, because I've always just hit you right between the eyes, and boy, he had. So that's what I found, is it's just that truth, that certainty, that clarity that really, truly helps. And so that's what I wanted to share, because when you go from small to great, that's going to happen. There are those who begin, but those who walk that whole path, that 300 that goes all the way to the end, that just takes time. And just understand the difficulties that you face, they are truly for your benefit. And all these cliches are cliches because there are absolute life truths buried in them. And it really is true that you have two ways to face a difficult situation. You can either ask, why is this happening to me? Or you can ask, what am I supposed to be learning so I can be who I'm supposed to become, so I can do what I was meant to do when I was placed here? That is the truth. And that's a choice to look at it one of those two ways. It just so happened that Eric, every time his teams, imagine having 6 teams collapse underneath you in 2 or 3 years. Look at how much stronger I am. Here we go again. And that's just the rarity. But it wasn't, as he said, doesn't mean I was smart. Maybe I was just too dense to quit. But he didn't, and then he broke through. So that's one of the mindset things I wanted to share with you, because every single one of you, it's not about whether you're magical on stage. That's not it. It's not about whether you are, Zig Ziglar. That's not it. You don't have to be Tony Robbins. You don't have to be like, Michael Rutherford, quick. That's not it. It's, are you certain within yourself? I was blessed to meet a gentleman who has built 2 million-person teams in his 35, 37-year career. He's building his 3rd one right now. He started as a mattress salesman in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he talks like a combination of an accountant, probably an accountant and a mattress salesman. But when he speaks, though it is so humble and so soft and so Michael and Brian and all, but it is so clear that his sincerity is so true, that his magnetic attraction is undeniable, because nobody cares how he said it. His words are gold. Yours can be the same. Okay. So that's kind of where I wanted to start, because I think that can help you have that perspective, because along the way, others are going to change their mind on you. The question is, are you here? Then we're going to rock and roll together, because Prove It is a message that, as I mentioned in, I think Steve and Stephanie were there, as I mentioned, one of the Hong Kong events, and I've mentioned it a couple of times here. The reality is that all the armies of the world cannot stop an idea whose time has come. And that's what Prove It is. This is an idea whose time has come, and there is no individual by any action whatsoever on the planet who can keep the idea from becoming what it's meant to be. And as long as that becomes a part of who you are, the magic is you're going to get to be there with a giant family when we hit that result, and never stop. Now, Steph, you would talk about the power of the ask. There's a way to then transition to that. How would you like me to phrase it for this, based upon how you guys also coach it?
Yeah, no, first of all, that was amazing. I got an entire page of notes. I think I already saw everybody like, fire, 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 Curtis. So I think that's just exactly what a lot of people needed. But I love the power of the ask. Well, I heard you say it, like you asked that guy to coach you. I think sometimes, like, whether it's asking a customer to try our product, whether it's asking somebody to join our team, I feel like, you might be grounded here. Maybe you've got that clarity, or you've got that, like, I'm going to stick here, right? But there's still that certainty of, like, people just don't know how to ask. Like, you were chatting with, I think it was Raj and myself in line at the event, and you were like, just ask. And you just coached him through kind of how to do that. I don't know. You can talk about whatever you want, but I remember Raj was like, have him talk about the power of the ask.
Sure. And let me put it this way, because actually I think there's two things we can address here. And for those who have your cameras on, and be willing, be honest, that's okay. Because I'm going to scroll through. We got, oh, good Lord, it was 80 when last, now I'm looking down, it's 146. Holy cow, this better be good, or I'm going to be so embarrassed. No, I'm just kidding. What I'd like you to do is, even to this day, if you find yourself in a situation where you go, oh, I should, and then you hesitate because internally there's a bit of fear. If you have that you think may be holding you back, hold your hand up for a second. I'm going to click through 6 pages. If anybody here has any fear, okay, wow, holy cow. I'm glad you all washed your hands, because I'm seeing a whole lot of palms. Okay, here's a question. What if in the next few minutes we could eliminate all fear forever? How many of you'd like that one? Okay. There's a magical thing. Now, see, first of all, there's a difference between direct sales. We talk about this industry, direct selling industry, but there's multiple styles or types of business modality. There's truly direct sales. There could be party plan. There could be, network marketing. Community-based marketing is a version of network marketing. The difference is we've taken the education and the commitment to education and better to a higher level. But there's a vast difference between being in a direct sales company, where you really need to be a seller, and that's an elite skill. Sales is the highest paid profession in the world, and that's just the way it is. And the way to look at it is, if sales is about getting a result, and therefore sales is a presentation, and nobody likes to feel like they're being sold. So truly great salespeople are so elitely talented. It is such an elite talent. From the moment they open their mouth, they are literally, if they're really good at what they do, they're messing with your head, they're playing with your emotions, they're manipulating you in a specific way, they're trained to do it, they're capable of doing it. So the bottom line, they know how to make you feel like they are your long-lost brother or sister, immediately put you at ease, feel comfortable, and they are literally taking you through a process of mental manipulation to get you to that end result, which is whip out the credit card or whatever and buy. That's direct sales. It is a presentation. True network marketing, its whole concept was based upon different principles. It was not based upon elite skill of any kind. It made no difference with the educational level, with the gender, with the age, with the ethnicity, with the religious or political preferences or anything. All of that was to be irrelevant. It was simply meant to be, if someone had a true love, interest, or passion in a product, what is it that could expand the business without anything but passion? And that was meant to be a conversation, not a presentation. And conversations are merely about questions and education. And so here's where the fear comes in. And so if you've ever had that moment of fear, I'm not going to get in your face, but I'm going to mention that at the moment it's because you're being a little bit self-indulgent. In network marketing, it is about you when you are the prospect. either a customer prospect or a promoter prospect. It is about you. And hopefully the process you experience is because someone knows and understands what our profession is, and they're doing it right with you. So let's assume that you were taken through a process properly, then that process is about you. As a promoter, the minute you choose to say yes and hit submit and say, I want to be a part of this community, it is never about you again. As a promoter, it's about them. And if you understand what your role is, because if you understand what it is that you're truly trying to accomplish, your fear can go away like this. Because here is the perspective. If you can embed this perspective, then you're in a great position. If we think about the play that works, it starts with a simple question. What do you know about pure therapeutic ketones and ketosis? Regardless of what they say, well, great. If I could get you in connection, however I choose to do it, however you choose to do it, here, let me have you look at my phone, whatever it is, with a 4.5 minute video that changed my life, would you watch it? I think it might have a great impact for you. Everything after that is educating about a choice they are as yet unaware that they have available to them that can make. Oh, so great. Well, send me a smiley face and you watched it. Great. What interested you most about all those things? Better mood, sleep, focus, etc. Well, the next step then is, let me educate you. Your next step is to try the product. Would you like to try a 5 or a 10-day trial? This is this, that's that. Well, I've got a question first. What's that? Well, I'm diabetic. Oh, if I connect you with this video, would you watch this information? Great. Now you've got the information. I just want to educate you. I'm not here to sell you. The next step is to try the product. Bing, bing. It's like putting people onto a subway and they get to choose when they get off. You're not there to sell. You're there to give. You're there to have a conversation, which is about asking questions and giving information. Here's the mindset, and this is where the fear can disappear instantly. If you will embed this in you, if it becomes a part of your DNA, your desire is, if every day when I wake up, if I so choose, because you're in control of your life, you're the grown men and women, you get to decide. I am blessed with the opportunity today, if I so choose to take it, to go out and touch as many people as have been placed on this earth and give them, from a heart-centered position, give them an opportunity to evaluate information so that they can make a choice that they believe in their heart from an informed position is the best choice for them to make at this moment. I do not care. Somebody wrote it. I do not care if they say yes or no to my product as a customer, because it's not my life, it is theirs. In my heart, do I hope they say yeah? Do I know what it can do for them? But that's where then the fear creeps in, because now I'm trying to get a result. Instead, what I want to do is I want to give. My desire is I want to give you an opportunity, because here's the thing. If I hype you up and you say yes, that's just kind of silly. And if you say no and won't even look at something first, I know that's kind of stupid. Let's not be silly and let's not be stupid. Life is too serious. I don't seek to get a result. I don't care if you say yes or no to my product. I don't care if you say yes or no to being a team member on my team. What I do care about is that you make the decision from an informed position. So I don't want to get you all excited about this thing, and I don't want you to say no to something yet. I want to give you an opportunity to evaluate information so that if you say no, if it's an informed no, then thank goodness if that's your correct answer right now, that's the answer I want you to give. Because if you'll do this, if you embed this in your brain, here's what you're really looking for. Think about how you got here. This is your roadmap. How did you get here on this call? At some point, there was the moment that you got a chance to see information for the first time. If you embed this, and this is what I was taught at lunch that first day, 30 plus years ago. Who I'm really looking for are people that if they see what I saw, I'm looking for people who see in it what I saw in it. And if they do, who then choose to do what I chose to do. That's who I'm ultimately looking for. But that can only work if I give them an opportunity to evaluate information to make the right decision. And here's why this is such a valuable perspective. If I'm trying to sell, I have to literally focus. And here's the way to look at it. Your Grand Central Station, New York City, subway, 5 p.m., hits Grand Central Station, doors open, 5,000 people come flying off the train. Direct sales is I focus in and I see Brittany and I go, bam, and I literally ignore 4,999 because I've got to sell her. Marketing, or what I'm trying to do, is I want to be able to give all 5,000 people an opportunity to choose yes or no. So if you understand the difference between community-based marketing and direct sales, marketing is, let's say you're selling toothpaste, big billboard, 6 or 7 different ethnicities. You got everybody covered with a big, bright, perfect white smile. And right above it, it says, want to smile like this? Use Colgate. Well, how do they make so much money? They stick it right there in the subway. They stick it right on the freeway. In other words, if you realize my objective is how many people can I touch with a question and a video to give them an opportunity to evaluate information to make a decision. If you have a fear if you're standing, you could be standing at the gas pump and somebody pulls up in a Rolls Royce and the chauffeur gets out and you've got a choice to talk to either one of them. You could choose to go talk to either one of them and ask, so what do you know about pure therapeutic ketones and ketosis? And they look right at you, go, what are you? I'm at a gas station. Are you just a flippin' freak? Okay. That wasn't my job. My job was to ask you the question. It's your job to respond. You decided you thought I was a freak. Okay, I'll go out, tap on the window and see it. Why? Because it's not about me. What am I afraid of? If you develop that mentality, you'd walk right up to Richard Branson. If you had a chance and just say hi, you'd walk right up to Warren Buffett. Why? It's okay if they don't even want to look at it. It's their life to make a choice. My job is to give them an opportunity so they can say yes or no. When that happens, the fear can go because it's not about you. When you have fear, it's you are trying to move towards what you are determining has to be the result. Instead, when you embed, then you can ask anybody, anytime, everywhere. Here's the thing. Think about Mother Teresa. She was not a magical public speaker like Zig Ziglar. She was a very small, diminutive individual who had a passion about something far beyond herself, and that was orphan children around the world. And she would stand up in front of the United Nations or heads of state because it wasn't about her. She had no fear. I need to share with you a situation so that you have an opportunity to choose to do something about it or not. And whatever you choose, I'm leaving that to you because I have thousands of others to go talk to, and I'm moving on to them right now. Because if I ask that question, if I give enough people the opportunity, I will find my tribe. Because we know that our product is our greatest partner. We have 2 partners, and our 2 partners are a cartoon video and a product. And if those partners are able to speak before we truly engage, then our job is so much simpler. My job is to give as many with no fear an opportunity to blow me off, to call me a freak, or do whatever, or take me up on the opportunity to take a look at a video. After the video, I share with them the next step. After it is to try a product. And after those 2 have spoken, I know that if I let my product speak and that video speak, there will be enough people who go, wow, that was amazing. I mean, I felt great. I thought, God, I got great sleep. Holy cow. If I do that, and so that's where the power of the ask comes in. I'm asking someone if they would like to evaluate information, and it's okay if they don't, because I have nothing to fear. One of the things is this: if you truly believe that if they consume the product, it will have a positive impact on their life, but understand, they're the adult. They have to choose to do that. When that happens, if you say, I know what the result will be, but I don't care what you choose, I care that I do my job, which is to give you an opportunity, if you so choose, to evaluate quality information so that you can make the right decision for you, at least the decision that you believe in your heart is the right decision for you right now. Because to try to push you into a decision, you're going to unpush yourself as fast as I pushed you into it. Whereas I can literally approach thousands. I can literally walk the street and approach hundreds every single day if I so choose, because I have no fear. I'm going to take a play. I'm going to get a ticket and walk the streets of New York. Why? Monday through Friday. Why? Because I want to walk with everybody and just start asking why. Because at the end of the week, if every single person blew me off, do you know how good I am at asking that question after I asked 400 New Yorkers on the street every single day? If nothing else, let me tell you this. About 3 years ago, I was in Manchester, England. We were at a generic training event. And one of the speakers then, who was a very top earner, brought up a member of her team and said, I just want you to hear her story. And I was standing there next to some folks, and a really good friend of mine who is just an extremely strong and capable leader in our profession, does a great job. This young lady stands up, and it turns out that at the moment she was standing up, she was the second highest rank. She'd been with the company for 5 years. In her first year, the first 153 people she approached said no. That's how her story started. I immediately elbowed the guys and I said, oh my God, I love her. She is a beast. Do you know, I mean, how many people have 2 people say no and they're done? 153. Do you know how good she was when she talked to 154? You practice anything 153 times. In other words, our philosophy is when the first 100 people say no, you need to send them all a bouquet of roses and a card and say, thank you so much for helping me become the person I am today. So the question is, if you can do that, none of you ever have to raise your hand in fear again. Literally tomorrow, you could go out in any situation, any circumstance in your daily life, at a restaurant, at the dry cleaner, wherever it is, online, through Facebook groups, through chat. You could be relentless because it's not about you. It's about them. But it's about giving them, not getting from them, not getting the result, giving them an opportunity to evaluate information. Now, where you can influence them is if you truly come from your heart, you are truly heart-led, and you are truly passionate. I've stood on front of stages in front of 18,000 people. So let me tell you where it needs to start. You have to be passionate about your product or service. If not, ask for a refund, quit, get out, and go find something else you are passionate about. And I'm not kidding. Listen, I think our profession is wonderful for everybody. If prove it's not for you, and if you're not really into the ketone thing, that's okay. Go find something you are and go passionately, go try and change the world that way. If ketones are not really, if you're here because your friend is and you feel obligated, listen, life's valuable. And I want you and bless you and hope and pray that you go find that thing that fills your heart so much that you will become Mother Teresa and unstoppable. But that's it. That's how you get rid of the fear. If you truly believe that the product quality experience above all else is worthy of giving people an opportunity to choose to say yes or no to, then you're good. And so that's where we all talk about what is your why. That may be why you decide to stay committed. That's where, Eric said, I don't care what anybody chooses to do or not do. See, here's the thing about commitment, and we'll kind of tie these 2 things together. Commitment is a decision. Okay, let's be clear. Commitment is a decision that you make. There is nothing that anyone else can say. There is nothing anyone can do. There is no mistake the company can make. There is nothing that can go wrong that can take away your commitment. You can decide to no longer be committed. Period. You make the decision and you can change that decision. But if you don't, you can't say, well, I was committed until that happened. No, that is on you. And if you make the decision that this product and service, this product in the community, but truly this product has made such an impact that I know in my heart and with passion, I want to give people an opportunity to make an informed choice, then your fear goes away like that. Literally, it's gone. Because it's not about you. It's about them. They can choose not to get on the train. They can choose to get off the train at any point. My whole purpose is to ask a question and see how many people want to get on the train to watch the video. Because on the train is the video. They can stay on that subway all the way until they've even gone through the product experience, shared it with others, and chosen to want to now really go promote it. And they stay all the way to the end and go all the way up through the ranks because they've also been taught by you how to have no fear, because the minute they chose to become a part of your promoter team, it's never about them again. You and them together now. It's about the whole world that you go touch. And so if those are the things that you can embed, then all of a sudden it's not just the power of the ask, it's the simplicity of the ask. It's the fearlessness of the ask. There's nothing to fear because I don't hinge my decision of what I'm doing on the decision you make, because I'm not here to get a result. I'm here to give. I'm here to give an opportunity to make a choice in your heart is correct for you. And so that's it. Those 2 things together with all of the things that is our community, that's where I think you find your sweet spot. And that's where you begin to realize that that's when you can go into massive movement and massive action, because it's not about you. So if you have those fear moments, stop technique, but reset. And if you've got fear or hesitation, stop, because you're making it about you at that moment. Say, hey, it's not about me. It's about them. And I don't care. I was listening to someone today, or maybe it was last night, and they were saying the reason that I go out, and one of the things that has driven them so much to go out and be fearless in talking to anybody is, they said the greatest fear they have, we all put on these images, we all put on this stuff, and Elise was talking to folks, she said, what drives me is the greatest thing that I'm afraid of is that there's someone who I might be close to or be friends with or know or on the block who is trying to put on the image that we all put on. And I didn't realize all the struggles and the difficulties and the challenges they were facing. And then all of a sudden, through a variety of circumstances, they come up and say, I didn't realize this is what you were doing all this time. We've been struggling last year, and now we've had to file bankruptcy. We've lost it all. I so wish you would have mentioned to me a year ago, maybe we could have saved the house. So she said, how will I feel at that moment if I let my fear, because I was making it about me, hesitate and say, well, they're driving a fancy car, they'd never want to hear this, versus Mother Teresa didn't care what anybody was wearing. She didn't care how big a title they had. She just had a message to give, and she wanted the entire world to hear it. And she was going to try, because she felt if she shared the message with the entire world, enough people would step up, maybe the problem would be solved. So those are the things. If you'll embed those things, all of a sudden, tomorrow, this is going to be the most fearless group of people on the planet, and you're going to go out and you're going to rock, and you're going to crank it, and you're going to be like this giant black hole magnet sucking a whole world towards you, because they're going to go, wow, I don't know what's going on with that group, but they are excited. They know what they're doing. They are certain. And gosh, they're not shoving it down my throat. They're just loving me. I love this group. Let's go. And that's what's going to happen.
Curtis Broom is on fire! Curtis, that was amazing.
Sweating. I've actually, my armpits, I'm sweating. Sorry, I get a little excited at times. Anyway.
Well, here's the deal. That was amazing. I love it because it really goes right into, we're actually going to be doing something called like a 2020 call tomorrow, to where people invite their current customers and people that they want to have that promoter conversation with, and they're going to hop on, and we're going to do 20 minutes of like value add for customers, how to get your smart ship, and then kind of give them the conversation. So everybody on here should be able to go and make that ask and go talk to those people and go hop on the Zoom, because that's what we're doing tomorrow. Is we're going to add value, we're going to give education, and we're going to help people make a decision, whatever their decision is, right?
And we'll share with people that there's this event where you've attended, where people gave great value, and I just want you to know about it, because I would love you to experience the value I have. I'm not here to pitch anything. I say and that doesn't have to be those words, but if that's where you're coming from in your heart, they'll hear it. See, oftentimes people ask me, well, what do you say? And I say, stop it. I can't tell you what I would say, because it would only work for me and you'll sound really silly. Here's what: become in your heart who you are supposed to be. You will always say what you're supposed to say. So if you will suddenly become that heart-centered, and if you become truly centered and certain with, my responsibility is to give an opportunity to evaluate information in whatever the medium is. Right now, tomorrow, here's the medium that they have an opportunity to choose to gain information from, so that over the course of time, they can, in their experience, they can make the decisions best for them. I'm just here to give you an opportunity to experience something of value that was wonderful for me, and I'd love you to experience it as well. Boom. So
perfect. Oh, thank you. We appreciate it. I don't want to take a lot more of your time. Is there any last words you care to give us before we let you go to bed?
I love stories, so I'm going to tell you one story of an individual that I've introduced on stage years ago. I've known him forever, and he has two states of being: laughing and sleeping. It's just who he is. If he just had a beard, he'd be Santa Claus. But I once asked him, I said, so, because everybody has this difficulty story. And I said, so, well, how long did you struggle before you broke through? And he said, well, I made $250,000 my first year. I said, wow, okay, well, everybody has the sophomore slump. What were the second? He said, no, I made $400,000 the second year. I said, well, where? He said, no, my third year I made $1 million. I've never made less. I said, well, how'd that happen? He said, I had someone tell me, if you will learn nothing except what are the fewest number of words that, based on your personality, you can share with people, that will get the largest percentage of them that you share it with. By why the fewest words? You can say it to more people in a short amount of time. That will get the majority of them to come to this healthy environment to listen. And then if you will just be quiet and take notes while you listen to the environment with them, I'll make you rich. And so here's what he found was best for him. I understand this 30 years ago, but it can be this simple. He would walk up to any human, anywhere, anytime, all the time and say, how would you like to have more love, happiness, and wealth in your life? Well, great. I've got a guy who's teaching me how to do that. I'd like you to meet him. What are you doing tomorrow? Now, you don't have to use that one. I'm just saying his personality, he figured out, would you like more love, wealth, and happiness in your life? Great. I've got someone coaching me on how to do that. I think you ought to meet him. Here's where it is. So the point being, keep it simple, be fearless, because it's not about you, it's about them. And plug into those kind of things, and then just watch, because one day when you've heard it 100 times, you'll be singing it in the shower, and all of a sudden you'll be the one everybody in your team brings their people to come talk with. That's how it happens.
Ooh, I love it. Thank you so much. I think you made everybody's clapping. Thank you, Curtis. We loved it. I think it's exactly what a lot of us needed. I appreciate you so much. And I think we all should come to Hong Kong and visit you soon. I think we should.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love you guys.
Okay, well, we'll let you go. Thank you, Curtis.
Okay. Have a great rest of your call. Love you.
I love it. Well, thank you. We're going to wrap the call up. I was just going to end the call with, we still have the 15% off till tomorrow, obviously. So that's the no fear. And then driving into that 2020 Zoom tomorrow night. So it can be for current customers or people that you want to have that promoter conversation with, somebody that maybe you've had that, like they're kind of toying with maybe sharing this with you, and just have them hop on, and we're going to do what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. We're going to add value. We're going to give them little tips and tricks. We are going to talk about SmartShip and what it looks like to share this conversation, and just invite them into the opportunity to learn more. And I loved how he phrased that. Did everybody feel like that was super valuable? Like, I loved it. Okay. I think that's it. I think let's honor everybody's time, and we'll invite into tomorrow night. So we will let you go. Everybody have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.